Hello, everybody. Welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for a slightly earlier than normal Championship review and reaction show for round 19. I'm out working tomorrow. So the plan is normally in these 3-game weeks, we do this show at 7 p.m. on the Thursday, and then we're previewing on Friday lunchtime. But I can't do that. And I want to be live for the preview to get everybody's predictions. So we're going to do that tonight, which means this has moved forward. So we're going to get it all done. So apologies if you couldn't join me live. Obviously, I'm talking to people in the future there. If you're watching after the fact or listening down the podcast feed, apologies if you couldn't join me live. If you are here and able to join me live on Thursday lunchtime at 1 p.m., do say hello in the chat and do have your say on the most recent round of Championship fixtures where, fascinatingly, only one of the top 6 won. Hull's heroic run down the bottom continued, and we got lots of draws and quite a few 0-0 draws as well. So, look, it's the Championship. There's always plenty of stuff to talk about, and you will be able to see down there our running order. We'll go through every game, every goal. Okay, there wasn't that many with all of those 0-0 draws, every team, every result. And then we're going to do our team of the round and our goal of the round. We do a little bit of Q&A at the end if you so desire. Please say hello in the chat and I'll give you a shout out in just a sec. Let's say a big shout out, though, to our friend Russ, who is our fan sponsor for the Championship preview show here. Was a phone, our friend, currently on loan to the Premier League for a year. Thank you, Russell. Channel legend, got involved over on Patreon. You too can do the same. Patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Before we get into everything, I know, plug. Please hit like, whichever platform you are watching on. You can support via Super Chat, Super Stickers. Just hit that dollar button where you leave your comments. And at last, for God's sakes, we've been creeping up 20,000 subscribers now on the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Thank you so much, each and every one of you. If you haven't already subscribed, keep us growing. We love it. Great community here. And so pleased to have reached that milestone that seemed like it was never, ever going to happen. It's just kind of drifting along. So thank you, everybody there. Let's say hi to David, to Jay, to Justin, Steve, Lenny, Mr. E, Ewan, Joshua, Jake, Sean, Thomas, SJ, Jeff, Peter, Kieran, Jason, Stewart, Josh. Thank you, everybody. And thank you all those people saying congratulations on 20K. Literally couldn't have done it without you. I know that sometimes sounds like an empty platitude, but you're the ones that have hit subscribe. So I really couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, everybody, being so kind about that. Right. Let's get into this. And here are your scores from round 19 in the Championship. As ever, we'll go from top down to bottom. That will be the way we're going to do it. Every game, every goal. Running order down the bottom on the screen. It was Blackpool 0, West Brom 0, Coventry 0, Birmingham 0. Goals ahoy, everybody. Middlesbrough 1, Preston 2, Forest 0, Luton 0. There is one more, don't worry. Reading 0, Sheffield United 1, Barnsley 0, Swansea 2, Blackburn 4. All the goals over there. Peterborough 0, Bristol City 1, Stoke 0, Cardiff 0, Hull 1. Take a bow, Hull, 3 wins in a row. Fulham 0, Derby 0, Millwall 1, Bournemouth 1, QPR 1, Huddersfield 0. And speaking of QPR, it was a very good weekend if you were a QPR fan. Not weekend, midweek, excuse me, because they were indeed the only team in the top 6 to win, which means the end of Fulham's, 7-game winning streak. Let's start off with our first 0-0, it has to be said. Fulham 0, Derby 0. Get your comments in on this one. Bit of an unfamiliar look to Fulham for 2 reasons. Look, Rodak not in goal there. Gazaniga comes back in. Robinson, Ream, Adrabio returns. Tete, Seri, Harrison, Reed, Cabano, Carvalho, Wilson. And look up top. No Mitrovic and Rodrigo Muniz starts, the Brazilian. But no Mitrovic, no goals. Cause correlation, think what you will. Statement of fact that no Mitrovic, no goals for Fulham in this one. They have been a positive goal-scoring machine thus far, Fulham. But a shutout for Derby, who line up with Roos in goal. Byrne, Jagielka, Davies for Scythe, Bird. Thompson, another start for the young guy in midfield there. Shinnie, Ebosele, Lawrence, and Jason Knight. I think I read Lee Buchanan might be out for a fair while. The talented, high-leaping left back there for Derby. We always try and pop up a couple of chances when we do a 0-0. There's Tom Lawrence. I think if that's on his right foot, that's got a better chance. Nice break from Curtis Davies out of defence. Lawrence cuts inside, but Fulham's defence fairly well narrow in the angle. There are a few chances for Fulham. This is the closest. Muniz, good clearance by Davies off the line. Carvalho with the better chance, probably just before that. But the game ends 0-0. So that means Derby have actually taken 4 points out of games against Fulham and Bournemouth in the last two. So well played, Derby. Fulham are setting an excessively high standard. They're still way over 2 points per game, aren't they? And remember, coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend is Fulham versus Bournemouth as well. So look out for that one. You can see the numbers there, 21 shots to 4, only 5-2 on target. 2 big chances to 0 in Fulham's favour. A simplistic kind of Derby defensive show there, and a good one as well to keep the clean sheet. I'm sure the very basic premise of if they had Mitrovic, would they have taken one of those 2 big chances? The numbers tell us yes, possibly, but hey, ifs, buts, and maybe. So well played, Derby. Excellent week from them. 4 points. Let me pop the table up, which takes them on to 1. Obviously, they're still miles and miles off safety. 16 points off safety. Hull haven't done any favours to the teams in the bottom 3 with their recent good run. But let's see how long this little post FFP points deduction boost lasts at Derby. And Fulham look 42 points. Okay, they drew a game. They didn't score in a game. They weren't going to go all season winning every single game and banging in 3 every time. So I'm sure they'll attempt the regroup, and all eyes on that game coming up with the top 2 playing one another. What are we saying here? Callum, top 6 all play each other next Saturday, or Friday night indeed as well. Fulham, Bournemouth, well pointed out. That should be a very interesting. We'll enjoy that on the predictions. Dave, much less sharp without Mitro. Changes affected fluency. Derby were very well organised and worked hard. We hit the woodwork 3 times. Yeah, had one cleared off the line. Just wasn't to be. Carl Rodak told to isolate. Okay, interesting. Someone on his plane had COVID and a few of the squad caught a norovirus. Interesting. Reed was on the bench but was never coming on. How many draws for Derby? That's a good point, actually. 10 already. We had this with Millwall last season, didn't we? What was the record? 24 or something? Ridiculous. So, OJ, Derby is so impressive after all that has happened. Maybe the impossible to happen. Look, give me another 10 games of it, and then we might believe it. But there we go. No Mitrovic, no party. Yeah, look, obviously that will be the leap people make, and it's true. Mitrovic didn't play and didn't score. How many goals has Mitro got? Has he got 20 or has he got 21 already? They've still scored 27 without him, haven't they? So yeah, I think maybe just one of those days, and we should give Derby some credit for that one. Let's move on, and we are going to talk Millwall versus Bournemouth. Another game without a win here for Bournemouth. I wrote this for Football 365. It's coming out tomorrow. Their points per game for the first 15 games was 2.46, which, okay, was ridiculously high. But it's dropped down to 1 point per game for the last 4 games. So it's definitely a little slip. I'm not saying where it's going to go or how long it's going to last, but it is a little slip for Bournemouth, and they'll hope it doesn't grow to 5, 6, 7 games of just 1 point per game. Let's have a look at the teams here. Millwall still only lost 4 games this season. That is fewer than 3 out of the 4 teams in the playoffs. So if they could turn some draws into wins, ifs, buts, and maybes. Get your comments on this one. Millwall 1, Bournemouth 1. Bialkowski in goal for Mill. Ballard, Hutchinson, Wallace, Murray, that is. Malone, McNamara, Saville, Mitchell, Bennett, Jed Wallace, and Afobe up top. For the Cherries, Travers, Stacey, Cahill, Metham, Davis. So no Lloyd Kelly. I think he's up for a bit, isn't he? Lerma and Kilkenny. No Pearson in there. Lewis Cook had come back at the weekend. He's obviously not ready to go 2 games in 4 days or whatever it was. Lowe, Christie, Anthony, and the frankly brilliant Solanke up top. Another of our excellent championship strikers. And here he is again. He's just too strong on the back post. Levers his man off the ball, straight in on the rebound, and just forces it home from about, what do you reckon there? About 3 or 4 yards out for Dom Solanke. That is his 15th goal of the season. However, he didn't reckon on our friend from Chile scoring twice for Blackburn last night. So he's 3rd in the list now, but 3 strikers there going absolute great guns at the top of the scoring charts. Here is Benik Afobe. It's a long one over the top, flicked on. Clever from Afobe. He runs across Cahill, and Cahill's long in the tooth and gets it. He knows if he lays a hand on him as he runs across, Afobe's going down and Cahill's getting red carded. Cahill puts the hand up, which allows Afobe to run in, and he gets in nice and tight. I suspect Travis and the goalkeeping coaches at Bournemouth would have hoped he would have narrowed the angle a bit further out from goal than that, but it is what it is. And Afobe sticks it in the net. Get comments in on this one. Millwall 1, Bournemouth 1. There are the numbers. I suppose the one that jumps out straight away is only 1 shot on target for Millwall, and they got a point from it. But then again, in deference to Rowett and Millwall friends, look, 1 big chance apiece, 10 shots to 8, 51-49 of possession. That looks like a tight game to me. So as ever with Rowett and the way he tends to set things up, it's never a deluge of chances against Millwall. So look, Bournemouth, the points total is still fabulous, isn't it? I think someone was just pointing out in the chat though, it's all top 6 again, isn't it? In fact, if I just flip the page, yeah, they've got Coventry and Fulham. The next 2 games have Bournemouth, and the run is 1 point per game from the last 4 games. So if they don't pick up a win in either of those next 2 games, then it will be a sustained run of, not anywhere near as good form as they were in for Bournemouth, but they've still laid down an absolute incredible start, didn't they? So we'll see if that will mitigate whatever this run turns into being. Hey, they could get 6 points from the next 2 games. Who knows? Millwall, very draw happy again. Look at that. 3 in a row, 4 points off the playoffs. They're in 10th. We often conclude that that's a decent position for Millwall when you consider budgets and spending everything. But obviously, everybody looks slightly above where they are, don't they, as maybe the next place to go to. Jimmy, 1 draw that Millwall fans are okay with. Yeah, a great display that deserved the win for the Lions. Interesting. Cherry squad depth for problem. I don't know, Steve. I don't think so. No, I think just a little slide off. Not necessarily a regression to the mean, because I think they're better than 1 point per game. But yeah, Rowett loves a 1-1. Yes, he does. Alex, Cherry's got lucky here. I won't talk about referee and stuff if I haven't seen it. Good clearance to stop Bradshaw tapping the winner. Special mention for Afobe, who was brilliant last night. It'd be nice to see Afobe get back to his best, because he can be a very decent championship striker and solve a problem that Millwall have been looking to sell for a while. Millwall, very hard team to win against. The defeat column does agree with you on that one, Ewan. Millwall are just solid, aren't they? Doing well without cash or flash names. Agree with all of those sentiments there, Ollie. 3-1-1s in a row. Rout will be over the moon. He loves it, doesn't he? He loves it. Let's move on, as I say slightly too much, to Blackpool versus West Brom. Get your comments in, please, guys. Blackpool 0, West Brom 0. Another nil, effing nil. I haven't got the button here. It's on the other screen that we use for the predictions show. This is why I make everybody pick a 0-0 out every week. Although this might mean we go 4 weeks without one now because we've had 4 weeks worth. Get your comments on this one. Blackpool 0, West Brom 0. The slip sort of continues for West Brom, doesn't it? We're talking about Bournemouth 4 points in 4. West Brom 5 points in 5. Blackpool also no wins in 4 for them. So a few little just slight trends down from teams that had been overperforming where they are now, obviously. Blackpool, Grimshaw in goal. Gabriel, Ekpitator, husband, James. No Keogh there, and he'd been actually vital to them, hadn't he? Anderson, Dougal, Wintle, Bowler. Oh, the return of Lavery. That is good news for Blackpool up top with Medine. For West Brom and Big Val, the familiar-looking 3 at the back system. Johnston in goal. Kipray, Bartley and Clark. Townsend and Furlong wide. Mollenby and Mowat. Livermore suspended, obviously. Dean Garner gets a start, as does Grant and Matt Phillips up top. Again, we try and stick a couple of pictures up for you. Here is a brilliant double save. It's a bit blurry. That's Keshi Anderson on the back post there. Medine's already prodded one at Johnston. He saves that. Looks like Anderson's just going to get in there and head it into the net. But Johnston is the England goalkeeper, or has been the England goalkeeper this season, played against Andorra. Didn't he? Got an assist as well, incredibly, for a Jack Grealish goal. Brilliant double save by Johnston. West Brom had a fair few chances. I could have put more than one picture up here. In my estimations, that's the best one. Drifted across. That looks like Townsend's crossed that. And on the near post there, can you just have a little bit of a soft shoe there? Grant, angle that one in or get a bit of a rise. Catch the keeper out. No, puts it side netting, I think. So let's see if the numbers agree with what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, look, I've had this a few times with West Brom where they record an absolute ton of shots, but not that many big chances. So actually tons of shots in the game period. Look, 38 combined, 2 big chances apiece. So there's still something amiss with West Brom, isn't there? Because you look at the shots inside the box, 21, corners 8-1 and shots 25. And you think, why are they not making more big chances and scoring more goals? Something there where the numbers, this is what we like about looking at statistics sometimes, because when there's conflicting information, we have to think about it long and hard and think, why is this happening? But 2 big chances apiece in the end, fairly even, isn't it? 0-0 it ends. West Brom will be pleased that Bournemouth and Fulham didn't take any more ground out of them. But still, look, 8 points gap, for goodness sake. Blackpool, big picture, 11th is tremendous after they were in League One last season. Little trend down, maybe Lavery coming back. I never thought I'd be saying it. Maybe I need to get Keogh back in the game as well. Hamza, who's always good on West Brom. Worryingly unsurprising result. I hope Val gets his striker. There's going to be Daryl DK, isn't it? In January, the Vultures are starting to circle. Steve, West Brom wobbling, especially away from home. Yes, indeed. I think that is 4 defeats and a draw in the last 5. Blackpool are a decent team. Wish I'd predicted 0-0 for every game. You wouldn't have gone far wrong with that. Blackpool will be much happier with this result than Baggies. At least you know there won't be a 0-0 involving QPR. Well, there we go. That's coming up next, isn't it? Paul, where would Derby be without their points deductions? Surely you can do that maths, Paul. They would be 19th with no points deductions. So in the bottom 6. What else are we saying in the chat here? Ollie, think this game had the highest combined XG for any 0-0. Oh, interesting. Great stat. That one. Eugene, Blackpool will be good for a point against West Brom at home last Tuesday night. I think we're saying something in the past while I was predicting the future and the things already happened, but there we go. Sounds like West Brom are missing a clinical striker up top. That may be so. I don't know. Is there something more systemic, though? Interesting. Let's move on. And we'll talk about QPR. QPR 1, Huddersfield 0. And I'll repeat myself. Very good round this for QPR. Only side to win in the top 6. They took 2 points out of all the other teams, apart from Stoke, who they took 3 points out of, given that Stoke are going to lose as well, which we'll talk about in a second. Get me your thoughts in QPR 1, Huddersfield 0. And QPR look a bit of a far cry from the team we were saying 5-6 games ago. Oh, a bit flaky, bit brittle, concede late goals, lose from winning positions. Defending much better now. Only 1 goal conceded in the last 4. None from open play because that goal was a penalty. The home record is extremely good now. I think it's like 6 wins in 7 or so for West Brom, for QPR, something like that. And they're on the heels of Coventry and Fulham. QPR look like they're, and you've got to do this, they're improving on something during the season that we had been critical of in terms of them being a bit balmy and loads for, loads against. All very sensible over the last 4 games. Another win, another clean sheet here. Here's your Rangers team. Now get your comments in, guys. Dieng, Dickey, Dunn, Barbe, Adoma, Wallace, Johansson, Dazelle, Chair, Austin, Willock. For Huddersfield, Nichols, Pearson, Lees, Colwill, Turton, Toffolo, High, O'Brien, Karoma, Sinani, and Ward. For the Terriers. I thought I'd put this one up. Turton in the first half. Look at that. Really, really could have given Huddersfield the lead. Just stick that in that big gap to Dieng's left, but he kind of puts it straight at him there. And they are made to pay. Here is the winning goal. Little bit blurry. Chris Willock down the right-hand side. And that is Luke Amos, central midfielder. Get yourself in the box, fella. Get in there. Look at that. 6-yard box, in on the keeper, heads it in. That's what you want to see on 81 minutes, isn't it? Your forward player wide and the box getting flooded. There, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them in the box for QPR. So fair dues there, pushing for the goal, for the win. They got both. And look at the numbers. It's nice, isn't it? Nice, a lot of it. In possession and shot count, very high. However, look, 5 each on target, 9 corners to 4. 1 big chance apiece is a little bit tighter. I pointed that chance out, missed for Turton. But at the moment, QPR have got good game management and they're pretty sturdy, aren't they? And they're winning these games, aren't they? And it's a well-worn cliche, I'll insert time in history, they would have drawn that game then or whatever, or lost that game. But they're in very nice form, QPR. 32 points from 19. Look, it's tight going down to Blackburn in 7th, but the trend looks up for Rangers and a lot of things you'd like to see if you're a Rangers fan, you know, that defence improving, building on that home record, the game management, a lot of things moving in the right direction. Looks like another little push now for QPR. For Huddersfield, another little trend down, like we talked about Bournemouth, West Brom, Blackpool, etc. Look at Huddersfield there, 4 points in the last 4. A lot of teams dropping to a point per game over a 4 or 5 game period just in the short term. Other teams will take advantage of that. And look, Blackburn have leapfrogged Huddersfield. Swansea have caught them right up. It will happen if you have those quick little runs. Huddersfield down to 8th. Let's have a look at your comments. What shall we go for here? Stuart, big win for us. In good form, aren't they? Steve, Rangers looking good. Found the back of the net in every game. I think someone mentioned that as well. Yeah, 30 league games in a row they've scored. So go figure. If you QPR and you can keep the ball out of the other end, you're looking all right because they score every game, don't they? QPR will win the playoffs. They may well have to beat a parachute team. Terriers lost the last 6 on the road. Is that true? Where are they appearing? I don't think that is true, but certainly no wins there. There's a draw against Peterborough and a draw against Luton in there. Senny saved us. Interesting. QPR could be a good shout for making the play. We've thought that all the way through, haven't we? Fair play to QPR. I didn't see this game, but they don't seem terribly convincing. All that counts are the results, though, and 20 teams have swapped plays with them, given a chance. It's certainly getting more convincing now, I would add. QPR forever, back-to-back wins and getting clean sheets. Happy for Amos to get the goal after his injury. Big players to come back as well. Dykes had a Barjo. Jimmy Dunn. Actually, that's a good point on Jimmy Dunn, isn't it? Signing of the season. Slavgon confirmed. Has it actually happened while I'm on? Let me just check my Twitter and see if that is the case. We might have to tag on another stream. I set one up earlier. Apologies if you were looking for me to talk on that, but we were waiting for an official announcement. Yes, 3 minutes ago. So look, we will talk about Jokanovic. I'll tack it on to the end of this stream and we'll clip it out as a separate video. Thank you, Tony, for letting me know about that. Lots of moving parts today. Lots and lots and lots to talk about. So this stream may go quite long. So get yourselves comfortable, guys. But I will clip out what we say about Slav and Sheffield United. Apologies, bit distracted there, understandably so. QPR in 4th, Huddersfield in 8th. We are going to go on to Coventry 0, Birmingham 0, where we will no doubt have a long discussion about the laws of the game, how they're applied, and possible improvements, because we got another 0-0 here to talk about. Get your comments in on this one. I do want to talk particularly about that Ryan Woods red card, because I think it really opens up an interesting debate that we can have, hopefully sensibly, take any club biases or anything that happened in the past that might contradict what's happened here. I think we can have a good discussion about this. But anyway, Coventry, have they drawn the last couple of home games? Yeah. So the brilliant home from Coventry just sliding slightly from the massive high standards, obviously. Only 5 points in the last 4. Obviously, won first 6 in a row, didn't they, Coventry? But a couple of draws and a defeat sliding in there in the home form. Birmingham stopping a losing run there. People are telling me they came for a point. They got a point. Got a clean sheet as well. Here is your Coventry lineup there. Moore in goal. Hyam, McFadzean, Rose, Martson, Darbo, Kelly, Hamer, injured. Does anyone tell me about that? O'Hare, Godden, and Gyökeres. For Blues, Sarkic, Sanderson, Roberts, and the return of Harley Dean, who we thought had been bomb squadded, but he's back. Bella, Oakley. So they had played McGree at wing-back, hadn't they? Woods, Sanic, McGree, Hogan, brother, and Troy Deeney up top. And I think Troy Deeney might be getting fed up with creating lots of chances for Scott Hogan, because there's another one in this game where he flicks it on brilliantly and Hogan misses the 1v1. Right, let's talk about cynical fouls and red cards and this Ryan Woods tackle. Because if we take out people getting crossed, that it happened to their team or against their team or whatever in the past, I think it's a really interesting debate that's come up before. So there is Ryan Woods committing one of those tackles where we say, oh, he stopped the counter-attack, he's taken one for the team, blah, blah, blah. Well, 99 times out of 100, probably 100 times out of 100, the unwritten convention is that that's a yellow card, isn't it? However, increasingly, fans, and certainly people that speak to me in my streams, are getting fed up of this type of tackle. And we often see players very honestly go in to make a tackle outside the box, deny a goal-scoring opportunity, and get red carded. So over the past couple of years, I've found a lot of people discussing with this with me and saying, well, Ben, how is it fair that someone honestly makes a play for the ball, commits a foul, denies an obvious goal-scoring opportunity outside the box and gets red carded, when we get instances where players like this one make very, very deliberate fouls to stop counter-attacks or take one for the team, take a yellow card, whatever you want to call it, and they only get a yellow card. So that opens up a very interesting conversation. Now, what I would say is I think something needs to go into the laws if this is going to become a red card offence, because my understanding of football's laws, and I have read them many, many times to talk to you guys and hopefully have a credible conversation, is that you can be red carded for serious foul play, i.e. endangering an opponent, reckless excessive force. You can be red carded for violent conduct, i.e. striking somebody or something of that nature, or you can be red carded for denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity. So at the moment in the laws, there is a gap for that cynical foul, take one for the team, stop counter-attack foul. Now, I've seen a fair few people, and I think they've got good morals here, but they're trying to argue that this is serious foul play or this is violent conduct. Look, it's not violent conduct. He's not trying to strike somebody or waist-high tackle and knocking someone's head off. Is it serious foul play? Is it excessive force and endangering the opponent? I don't know. By the definition that's been laid out and the kind of convention of the game, it's not, is it? It's one of those ankle taps. Look, endangering the opponent is obviously a very, very fluffy phrase, isn't it? And I often get the argument come up to me, any tackle endangers the opponent. Yeah, of course it does if we take it binary. But remember, they write the laws not to be binary. They make them very broad to give referees a bit of latitude. So my take on this Ryan Woods foul, and let's be very clear about this. I like Ryan Woods. I really liked him when he was at Brentford, and he used to be like deep line playmaker and circulated the ball and took all the set plays and stuff. Let's be fair. This is very clear and obvious cheating, isn't it? From Woods, where he's clearly trying to take the player out to stop the attack. I don't think by the current wording of the laws, it is a red card, is it? In terms of, is it serious foul play? If you really wanted to argue it, you probably could. Violent conduct, no. The interesting one is the denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity wording, because that's kind of most what this type of tackle is. He's trying to stop a goal-scoring opportunity, isn't he? Because, look, forgive me, it's a bit of a blurry picture, so I can't tell you. Is it Walker who's maybe come off the bench there? So if he lets Walker go through there, it's a 2-on-2. So it's one thing removed from an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. You think there may be an obvious goal-scoring opportunity if you don't make that tackle. So I think my position on this is up until where we are in football and the laws. This tackle has not traditionally been a red card. I think in the future, it will become a red card, but I think something will be written in. I don't know what language they're going to use in terms of a deliberate foul to stop an attack or to stop an attack unfolding, or it's one for you sin bin fans as well, isn't it? Where the old orange card, the 10-minute sin bin, or however many minutes you say. So I think my take on this is, in some ways, I feel a bit sorry for Ryan Woods, because I know he's cheated and he's made a deliberate foul to stop the attack, but in the past, he obviously thinks he's only going to get booked, and he clearly wouldn't have done it if he thought he was going to get a red card. If referees have been briefed to say, look, if there's a deliberate foul that's stopping a counter-attack, taking one for the team, can we get the red card out for that? I think that needs to go into the laws specifically, because players kind of need to know if they... it's very difficult. Deliberately fouling someone, but thinking they're going to get a yellow card and it becomes a red. So a very, very interesting one. And if we can all keep calm and, not throw our toys out the pram when we're debating it, I think we can have an interesting debate. And my take is, traditionally, that hasn't been a red card. But I think in the future, if it was a red card, and remember, that big Italian centre-back, Chiellini, in the Euro 2020 final, on the touchline, pulls back Saka, doesn't he? And that's the classic take one for the team. And everyone's up in arms. And rightly so. It's deliberate, obvious cheating to stop what in the future might be an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, which would be a red card. But these players are clever because they make the foul one phase in the play before the obvious goal-scoring opportunity has come. So that would be my take on it. Feel a little bit for Woods. Think something might go in the future. I don't want to see these tackles, though. I don't want to see people deliberately fouling someone for a counter-attack to stop what's going to be an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, perhaps, getting the same punishment as someone that takes their shirt off when they score. Because that's what it is, isn't it? So, look, interesting debate. And I thought I would talk for just a little bit on that. I'll get to your comments in just a sec on that. I can see tons of them have come in. Gyökeres at the end drills this shot. I'll be a bit facetious here, but in the first 6 weeks of the season, I think that takes a deflection and flies into the back of the net with Gyökeres. Doesn't it? Let's have a look at the numbers. And yeah, you can see Birmingham. Hang on in there, baby. Oh, yes. 1 shot on target. And they managed to escape with a point with the finishing with the 10 men. Coventry, 5 shots to 1 on target. But look at the big chance count, 0-1. So as much as Coventry fans might be frustrated with Birmingham coming and grabbing the point, didn't create enough big openings. So you need to give Birmingham some credit. Coventry, hang on in there in that top 5. Little slip points per game-wise. A game from them, 5 from the last 4. But it's all kind of muddling on out there between basically, I don't know, 3rd and 8th, isn't it? And Coventry's still in there. Birmingham, a bit streaky now, aren't they? It's been a good run. Last time they halted a losing run, they then went on a winning run straight after it. Right, let me get into the comments. We've already got 1,000 comments on this tackle. Let's just say thank you to Jeff for a £5 super chat. Very, very kind. And let's look at some of your comments. John, the Woods tackle is currently a yellow card. If they want to make that a red card, needs to be defined. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I was saying, John. I'd like it to be a red card in the future because, we don't want players deliberately fouling people to stop goals. You stop goals with tackles and saves and things of that nature, don't we? As the Lords stand, I think that's not a red, whatever the reason referee made that decision. However, I'd love the Lords to be changed so that taken. Agreed. I think you agree with me on that one. Anybody else on that tackle? Joshua, explain to me how it could ever be a red card. I think we have in detail. The only way I think that could be a red card is I don't think it's excessive force. Is he endangering the opponent? I don't know. Something needs to go into the wording if that's going to consistently be a red card in the future. I personally think that it should be more than a yellow card. I don't feel that the difference between someone honestly sliding in and getting red carded for denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity is so much worse for the red card offence than deliberately hacking somebody down to stop the pass before a denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity. Thomas, 2 points dropped, played well and dominated the game, but poor in the final third. Brom never really troubled us. Their red wasn't red. I'm not going to get into penalties if I haven't put the image up there. Anything else here? Jason, I wouldn't mind the rule being changed. It's more than it is, isn't it? It's one of those unwritten things where you can basically hack somebody down on a counter-attack, take a yellow card, and everyone applauds, don't they? And look, I'll be completely honest. I sit in the stands if it's Ipswich playing and a counter-attack turns over and we're in half an hour from the end of the game. I'll be totally honest here, and you might hate me for it. I'm the one that says, foul him, stop the counter, foul him. Not only that, then stand on the free kick and stopping them take the free kick. But until something goes into the wordings of the laws, it does feel a little bit icky if the red card's going to come out when every other occasion in history it tends to be a yellow. What else are we saying here, Joshua? I do think it should be a red. By the letter of the law, it wasn't. Yeah, I think we all agree. The player can only do it once per game. Yeah, I know. I just think it's the difference between that and the denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity red card. I don't think there's much difference in that. And there's clear, we often talk about intent. That is a foul with clear intent to stop an attack, isn't it? Whereas some others don't. But hey, we're getting into reading minds, aren't we? File the issue under diving, time wasting. Exactly. Risk of injuring a player. So yeah, agree with that. Yeah, we shouldn't be taking people out. I know some players do it with a shirt tug, which is probably not going to injure the player. But Joe is right. When we're diving in, and Woods knows what he's doing. Woods is not a fast player, so he's not going to dive in if he can't clip his heels and take him down. So it's a good conversation. And hopefully we've had we've had a good, sensible debate without people going crazy about, oh, my player did this 8 months ago and he didn't get a red card, which I have seen a lot of on Twitter. So hopefully we can get. Let me just do 2 more because I haven't talked much on the game. John, 9th clean sheet this season, equal to Bournemouth. Happy with that. Agreed. Callum played Birmingham 5 times, drawn all 5. There we go. Get on that next time in the prediction show. Right, sorry. This is going to be the longest stream in history because I'm going to talk about Jokanovic as well. So let me move on to Bristol City versus Stoke. Bristol City versus Stoke. Get your comments in on this one. Bristol City 1, Stoke 0. And there was me playing into the Bristol City terrible home record and Stoke improving. What does the Championship give us? Home win, obviously. Yeah. How did we ever doubt it? Get your comments in on this one, guys. Bristol City get the win. Bentley in goal. Viner, Callas, Baker, O'Dowda and Scott. Benarous starts again. He's now on my radar. Backinson, Williams. Look at that. Look, Scott, Backinson and Benarous all across there. Excellent. The young players coming through there. Vyman and Martin. For Stoke, who we'd thought were improving, Davies. Remember they were without Suter now, I think, for the season. So, look, Ostigard, Bart and Chester is a kind of new look back 3 there. Smith and Timon are the wing backs. Sawyers, Allen, Vrancic, and Birmingham fans will be enraged by Joe Allen's first yellow card because it was exactly what Ryan Woods did, basically. But there you go. Anyway, let's park that for now. Brown and Fletcher up top, and Bristol City get the job done here, although Fletcher in the first half, look at that, heads across the keeper, hits the post, exactly the same position, heads near post, powerful header, Bentley's done on both, hits the crossbar. So chances, however, tossed the long throw in the box here. I think it was Baker who put it in, flick on the near post. You can see Backinson, bit blurry, steals in. And Stoke fans will be very, very irritated by that. Didn't take their chances. Set play, Bristol City do, and they're going to get the win. Here is Joe Allen attempting to fool the ref. He gets his second yellow. And yeah, just to be completely balanced and fair to the Birmingham fans who were just talking about the inconsistency, yes, Joe Allen's first yellow card is a complete textbook, what we were just talking about. Take one for the team, cynical foul, cleaning out O'Dowda, I think, possibly, on a counter-attack. So, yeah, it's got to go in the rules. And I do accept the Birmingham fans' argument about that on the same night, you want the same punishment for everything, however far-fetched that might be to expect. Look at the numbers. We're gonna have some irritated Stoke City fans here, aren't we? 65-35 in the possession, 13 shots to 8, 4 shots to target on 2, 4 shots on target to 2, excuse me. Look at the big chances, 3-2. So Bristol City did still force a couple of big chances, but Stoke fans are going to be telling me they should have got something from that game. And Bristol City fans are going to be telling me, thank God we were in a tight game. They normally always go against Bristol City at home, don't they? And they went on to get the win. Stoke, after a nice run there, 10 points in 4 games. They lost on the right day, didn't they? I will say that about Stoke because nobody else in the top 6 other than QPR won. However, I'm sure we'll see what the comments say. Bristol City, look at that, 4 points in 2, a home win. I don't know, it's kind of flitted and we thought, okay, is there something now for Bristol City to build on? There's something there for 2 games. Can they keep it going? Can they keep the home form up? I don't want to irritate Bristol City fans. It doesn't look like that viable a win, does it, when you look at the numbers? But sometimes that's all you need, isn't it? Just to kickstart something, a win in a tight game, and you can then move on and have a good run after that. We hope that's the case for the sake of our Bristol City fans. Let's have a look. Let's go to Jeff. Thank you for that super chat a minute ago. Really hard-working performance. Fans saw us over the line, especially, God, 9 minutes of injury time when you've got a bad home record. That is not what you want. Ben, typical Stoke. I think he did tell me on the predictions this would happen. Absolutely. Jake, Stoke, the champions of mugging. Well, yeah, always get Stoke wrong, don't I? Am I dreaming? 2 out of 3 at home, 3 unbeaten and a clean sheet. No, you're not, Josh. No, you're not. Can they build on it? Ben, Waste City played on Saturday. Just knew this one was coming. Bristol City win at home again. What is going on? No idea. Fletcher, unlucky, hit woodwork a couple of times. Mr. E watched on TV. Slightly fortunate win for Bristol City, but commitment was exceptional. Sound like their fans roared them home. Good on them. Good on them indeed. You guys talking about Heckingbottom and Jokanovic. We'll do that at the end of the show. This is going to be a long one. Stay with me, guys, because we've got to do the predictions tonight, so I've got no other time to do it. I'll clip out the bits and bobs. By the way, please hit like if you're enjoying the show. It's probably going to be going for another 45 minutes at least if I can not lose my voice in that time. We are going next to Blackburn versus Posh, which was 4-0 to Blackburn, our highest scorer of the day. Another 2 goals for Ben Brereton Diaz. What a season he's having. Solanke, Brereton, Diaz, and oh God, who's the other striker with loads of goals? Mitrovic. Deary me, silly me. Just going great guns. Great win for Blackburn. On the predictor, I had 3-0. I thought this would be a big win. 3-0 at half time, though. Get your comments in on this one. Rovers 4, Posh 0. There's your teams there. Kaminsky in goal. Lenihan, Ayala, Wharton. Oh, did Ayala get injured again? Pickering, Nyambe, Travis Rothwell, Buckley, Dolan, and the Chilean sensation, Ben Brereton Diaz. For the Posh, Cornell in goal. Kent, Thompson, Beavers, Ward, Butler, Norburn, Taylor, Dembele, Clark, Harris, and Smodic is the front 3. Here are the goals. This is a great goal, this actually. Pickering, you love to see this. I always talk about fullbacks getting forward. I think it is Buckley, the number 10, who sticks the cross in. And that is the left back. And that is a hell of a header. Look, he's climbing well and he flies that into the top corner. Great goal by Pickering. Have that in your mind for your goal of the round contenders. This, on the other hand, is dreadful. And I think Posh fans have been very impressed with Nathan Thompson at the back this season, but he dilly-dallies on the ball, and Tyrese Dolan is a quick little fella, isn't he? Nicks it off and plays it to Ben Brereton Diaz, who obviously sticks the ball into the back of the net for his 15th of the season. Don't worry, the 16th is coming, but Lenihan on the back post nods home the set play from Joe Rothwell, and it's 3-0 at half-time. Another assist for Rothwell. And how confident does Ben Brereton Diaz look as he's going through here? I kind of was watching it and I saw Dolan running through in the middle. And I think Dolan wants him to square it to him. And I thought the form that Brereton Diaz is in, no chance he's passing that. Sticks it home. 16 for the season for Brereton Diaz. We've only played 19 games. He is just outstanding this season. Great win for Rovers. Peterborough's away form is still rank awful. I won't look at the numbers on a 4-0, although it does say the Posh had 3 big chances and Rovers had 3 big chances. So you XG fans, if you're Posh fans, might have something to argue. Look at that Posh away form. Atrocious. 3 points and 9 defeats in 10 games. Bigger picture. Blackburn, nice. And we were mentioning this. Look at the combined goals for and against. Up to 60. Now, only Fulham, there's been more goals in games involving Fulham than Blackburn. So they're an entertaining bunch with Brereton Diaz leading the way up the top. And Peterborough in that bottom 3. And worst news for Peterborough this week is the heroic 3-game run that Hull have had as well. And the Posh in that bottom 3 with Reading now with the points deduction, only 2 points ahead of them. Let's have a look at some of your comments. Rovers win. Brace from the Chilean sensation. Almost look like I know what I'm talking about, hey? It's predictable this season, Ben, isn't it, hey? Routine win for the Rovers. Steve, Posh, so poor away from home. Bang, in trouble. Great bounce back by Rovers. Some money being put on Brereton Diaz going to Milan in January. Wow, who'd have thought that a year ago? Nobody, Mr. E. Nobody. The humble, when he was just Ben Brereton then, hey? Let's move on to another blooming 0-0, but a red card and a penalty as well to talk about, I guess. Forest 0, Luton 0. Get your comments in on this one. Forest 0, Luton 0. A draw, an unhelpful draw, is it? I guess not when everyone else is drawing in that range in the table. Although Luton missed the penalty. So any game you draw 0-0 that you miss a penalty in and the opponents have a man red carded after 61 minutes, you're thinking should go on and win that game. And a bit of a frustration for Luton fans, isn't it? We're repeating this narrative of them having chances and maybe not winning games as expediently as they could. But like we always say, you'd rather be making the chances and kind of having it that way round than not making them and kind of getting lucky draws, which is not the case for Luton. For Forest, Samba in goal, Spence, Boro, McKenna, Colback, left back, was he? Ojeda and Garner, Lolly, Zinkernagel, Johnson and Taylor. Up top for the Forest. For Luton, Shea in goal, no Sluga. Lockyer, Bradley, Naismith, Onyedinma, Bree, Campbell, Mpanzu, Lansbury, Adebayo, Musquay gets a start, the former Leicester man on loan at Wickham last season. And my apologies, I should have gone to Barnsley versus Swansea first, shouldn't I? There we go. We'll go to that one in just a second. Apologies if the running order says that. Anyway, we're in the middle of Forest Luton now, so we're going to see it through. My bad. There was a pretty big chance there for Lyle Taylor. Decent save by Shea. No, actually, I think the defender, it's a block on that one. Can't quite remember. Here is the penalty incident, which saw Jack Colback get a yellow card. Honestly, I don't want to sound like I'm sitting on the fence. There's no replay on the highlights package I saw there. So be interested in your thoughts. I don't know if there's tugging. Both players hit the deck. Yellow card comes out. Referee very sure of himself and pointing to the spot. But Adebayo, it's a great save actually by Sam because he completely flings himself to his left and saves it with his feet. Somehow loops it up over the bar. Quite how, I don't know. However, two things can be true. If you're going to stick a penalty down the middle, give it a little bit of lift, and the keeper's not going to save it with his feet, is he? And again, Luton fans, well, I think they were already telling me on Twitter, Ben, we have chances to win games, but we don't take them. And another one there goes a begging. Look, Luton conceded 0 big chances in this game and 0 shots on target. So that must have been a block from the defender. That's confirmed it in the first half. Obviously, Forest will be happy with the point, having been down to 10 and survived the penalty from the hour mark. So we move on. And I suspect Luton fans, given they've taken 1 point out of those games from the QPR game on Friday night, where they had some good chances, 0 points. This one, 0 goals, more to the point, is the problem for Luton. They're creating chances, not taking them. I think I'm labouring my point now, aren't I? In the middle of the table there, Luton 12th, Forest 13th. Let's go to some comments. I promise I'll do Swansea next. I promise. Where are we going to look here? Anything for Luton and Forest here? Eugene. Yeah, I think he agrees with me. Good result considering the 10 men. Right. Apologies. Let's do Barnsley versus Swansea. My bad. The order's right on there. It's wrong on my sheet of paper here. But we're going to talk Barnsley 0, Swansea 2. Decent win for Swansea. Barnsley, yeah, it's very worrying now for Barnsley. The new manager is in, and that whole run as well. I don't know, has that crystallised things? Don't know whether they've got much worse in the last few days, but difficult start for Poya Asbaghi. Swansea going great guns, actually, moving up 10 points in 5 to 9th in the table. And Matt Grimes signing the contract last Friday, or it was announced last Friday. I'm sure he spent a couple of weeks negotiating that one, put it that way. Here we go then. Barnsley under Asbaghi, and it's going to be a 4-3-3 by the look of it. So Struber, Ishmael and Shop, that back three, gone. Well, we'll find out. Ask me in 5 games' time, see if he's gone back. So there is your Barnsley team. Collins, Britton, Hellick, Moon, Williams, Styles. Has he finally become a central midfielder like we thought he would be? Benson and Palmer, Freeser, Woodrow and Cole. For the Swans, Hamer, Bennett, Norton, Cabango, Bidwell, Laird, Grimes, Downs, Smith, Patterson and Pirro. And just because a lot of people were telling me about it, 79% possession for the Swans, 81% in the first half. So Barnsley just never had the ball in the first half. Deary me, over 4 out of 5 touches in the first half, or passes completed, rather, I know it's possession, were for the Swans. Here are the goals. Do we have to wait for the second half for them? A nice cross by Ryan Manning here, Oliver Nitcham. I mean, it's good, it's well worked, but look at that run straight through the middle of the box. Go with the runner, cut the cross out, stop the goal, all of that stuff. 2 things can be true. Nice movement, but I'm sure the Barnsley fans will hope that that run is tracked and the cross is cut out. And again here, just good movement and good play from Swansea. We've got to give Manning some credit because poor old Britain, you can see there, if you actually watch this back, Manning just makes a really good run outside of Patterson, and Britain has to go with him, doesn't he? You can't just let him run in. That opens up the gap, and Patterson, clinical there, slaps it in the corner to the left-hand side of Collins. And Swansea get a pretty viable-looking win when you look at the numbers. Not massive in terms of 100 chances created, but Barnsley only 1 shot on target, and they barely had the ball in the game, didn't they? 21% on the possession. Russ Martin, nearly 900 passes. There will be loving that, won't he? He'll take a 2-0 all day with those stats, and no corners conceded either. They just didn't look like scoring Barnsley, did they? Swansea are on a good run, and they are very much moving in the right direction. Do you know what? They're moving faster than I thought they would. And I keep saying about there being an open door this season below sort of those parachute teams. I thought Swansea would be stabilising and moving up the table next season, but they're ahead of the schedule I had in my head. So, yeah, well played, Swans. For Barnsley, that is so worrying, isn't it now? Because obviously they've started the season with one manager. They've changed, and they're just banging trouble, aren't they? 19 games gone, 6 points from safety, only 2 wins all season. Nobody has lost more games than Barnsley. And basically what we need to see, you know me, I'm always saying 45 to survive. So we're looking at 34 points for Barnsley to get to 45. 34 points in the remaining 27 games. If that stretches out a little bit more and it's going 1.3, 1.4 points per game, I start to seriously worry about Barnsley. And I haven't really worried about Barnsley. I've always thought, oh, Collins is good, Hellick's good, Styles is good, Britton's good, Woodrow's good. But the further it gets into the season, the more you think, okay, they're good, but they need to start scoring points at a rate far greater than they have been all season. Let's look at some comments. Oh, that is brutal. Kyle Norton completed more passes than... God. That's like Rodri from Man City. I think he does it most games, doesn't he? Eugene, think Barnsley doomed for relegation. Swansea may nick a playoff place. They may. Nitcham, Patterson are ballers. We passed them to death and got the goals. That's the difference, isn't it, Dan? You've got to get the goals. We've seen Swansea, you know, when they play against teams in slightly better nick than Barnsley, frankly, no disrespect to Barnsley, have been able to pick Swansea off, but the trend is good for Swans, isn't it? Steve, 80% possession, 900 odd passes, patient, waiting for the opportunity too came along, could be perceived as boring. God, I don't know who's perceiving it as boring. Love that, don't you, if you're a Swansea fan? New Tokes manager is his work cut out. Unfortunately, yes, he does. And they were so good last season, Barnsley. Gave so much to the league, but they're in a very different spot this season. Someone who has also given so much to the Championship a couple of years ago was Chris Wilder. But he hasn't won yet for Middlesbrough. Talk to me, guys. Middlesbrough won, Preston 2. I talked to Ben HD about this game. He was there in the Preston end on Championship 365. We talked about it. You can check out my pinned tweet if you want to see that. And he was quite magnanimous in saying it was a bit of a strange one. Boro sort of getting themselves in a winning position and just uncannily losing a bad mistake and a set play goal, but it takes all sorts, doesn't it? Get your comments in. Boro 1, Preston 2. Daniels in goal for Boro. McNair, Bamba, Peltier, the fabled Wilder, back 3. Jones, Boller, Howson, Tavernier, Crooks, Sporer, and Watmore for Preston. Iverson in goal, Vandenberg, Bauer, Hughes, Barkhazen, Earl, Whiteman, McCann, Brown, Maguire, and Reese. Let's have a look at the goals, guys. Only 3 to go. Told you this was going to be a long one. There is McNair from the set play from Howson. Good header by McNair, barring in. Doesn't jump, just runs in, hammers the header in. Sorry, I'm going to keep taking on water. Do not want to lose my voice. Got to sing tomorrow as well. This is a great header by Ched Evans, by the way. Another set play. Whiteman sticks the corner in. Look at that. That's on par with Pickering's header, I think, for Blackburn. Rises up, bullets that one in the far corner. Great goal by Evans. And this is a horrible mistake by Sol Bamba. Tries to pass it out of defence. There are times to pass it out of defence, but you would think Bamba, being a real Warnock guy, would know when to stick his foot through it. He doesn't. Ends up with Reese. Good composure by Reese. Right foot onto the left foot. Bends that one into the far corner. And an 81st minute winner for Frankie McAvoy. And Preston, look at the numbers. 2 shots on target and a 2-1 victory. No big chances created by Preston. So I suspect Borough fans will be more than cheesed off and Mr. Wilder about this defeat. And he had 2 home games to start with, and he hasn't won either of them yet, Wilder. Preston is a funny old team, aren't they? Very unpredictable. Look, 3 wins in 5 now, 9 points. That's decent enough form, isn't it? What is that, 1.4 per game? It's more than that, isn't it? 9 points from 5. I can't. No, it's not. It is 1.4, isn't it? So fine, if you like, from... no, it's more than that, isn't it? I can't add up on the hoof. I'm thinking about too many things. But 14th and 15th in the table, Preston and Borough. Let's get to some of your comments. Roland, I haven't seen those refereeing decisions you're talking about, so I will not talk about them. I'm going to give you the Arsene Wenger answer. But, of course, I'm sure there's some validity in what you're saying. Steve, Preston are funny, so I'd never place a bet on them. Nope. If Wilder's trying to recreate his Sheff United system, it would take more than a couple of games. Yeah, fair comment there. Mr. E, a man after my own heart. Anyone would think the new manager bounce wasn't a thing. No further comment, me honour. Your honour. Jake, there were some good signs in this game. Wilder's clearly having an influence. Mistake at the back. Yeah, that's true, isn't it? Costas. Someone needs to tell the players. Football match lasts 90 and not 45. Absolutely. Right. Let's talk about Reading 0, Sheffield United 1. I will do Jokanovic at the end of the stream. So I'm just going to talk about the game, okay? And then we'll talk properly about Jokanovic at the end of the stream. But Jokanovic signs off with a win, but obviously all not right there. And did he make it back to Sheffield? I don't know, because he's out of the job now, just a day or 2 removed. Here are your teams. Maybe Reading the biggest story in this game because they are in trouble, aren't they? Southwood in goal. Yidam, Moore, Dan and Rahman. Drinkwater, Ejaria, Swift, Laurent. Surely Ejaria played down the left, didn't he? Deli Bashiru and Puskas make up the rest of that lineup. For the Blades, Fotheringham, Basham, Egan, Davies, Stevens, Bogle, Norwood, Fleck, Gibbs-White, McGoldrick and Brewster. The only goal in this game was scored by Jaden Bogle. Good finish this. Look, on the angle, cushion volley from McGoldrick's cross. Always hard to judge it when it's an in-swinging cross and you've got an angle to process as well. So he just tries to kind of cushion volley it into the near post, get a bit of lift on it into the roof of the net. Great finish by Bogle, who could be a useful player for the Blades this season at right wing-back if they can keep him on the pitch. Worrying one, John Fleck, some breathing problems, collapsed. Obviously, I'm not going to put a picture up of that. I don't think anyone needs to see that. But hopefully there's nothing more underlying there. And that's a problem that's, not going to recur for John Fleck, but not nice to see. And that's all she wrote in this one. Sheffield United getting the win at Reading. Look at the numbers, just a bit of a meh. Not many shots at all. I think the ball was being circulated most of the game. 2 big chances to 1, 5 corners apiece, 2 shots on target each. But these are the type of games Reading are losing now, aren't they? You just wonder whether the mentality and that approved decision and that budget cut coming up and the 6-point deduction this season and all of that starts to play into Reading. And as we discussed again on Championship 365, whether, the psychology of knowing that they had to, or that they're going to have to cut costs, whether that says to a John Swift or Laurent or whoever these guys are, the contracts that are coming up, to think, look, I'm out of here in January. And yeah, you would ask the question, will the Reading team be better or worse after January than it is now in terms of personnel? And you'd start to conclude there probably will be people go in January now. I don't know. Can they keep them? Can they hang on to them? Will they cash in? Do they have to cut the costs now or at the end of the season? If they do, there's a worry because they're only 2 points off the relegation zone with that 6-point deduction. So it's going to be a difficult one for Reading to square that circle. Sheffield United, I'm going to talk about once we've done team and goal of the round. Okay, we'll talk more about Jokanovic there. So keep your powder dry on that one. Blades, 16th in the table. Not enough for Mr. Jokanovic. Ollie, nothing to say about the game. Reading fans were top class when Flecky went down. Get well soon, John. Yeah, absolutely. Mr. E, uninspired performance from Reading. Pano experimented with the Ajaria Central. Oh, it was? Okay. Thank you. It didn't work. Pano full of excuses. Boost having Aziz and Tetek back on the bench. If Derby keep anywhere near 2 points per game form after playing the top 2, I can't help but feel Reading will hold the key to who will ultimately get relegated. It's going to be hard for Derby unless a new owner's in to do that. Be a lot of interest in Swift. Yeah, that's the one, isn't it? Swift with the contract. I know there's a few others. Forgive me, I don't know who they are. Mr. E will probably tell us. I think he told me the other day, to be fair, and I've forgotten. But there you go. A lot whirring round here in Championship terms. Right, finally, well, not finally, but finally for the results. Take a bow, Hull. 3 wins in a row for Hull. Go on. Honestly, who saw that coming? Not me. Not many people, I'm sure. And they go to Cardiff and nick their 3rd straight win. That puts Hull all the way up to 19 points and just 19th place, 18 points. Just 1 point off that 1 point per game. And I do get the argument a couple of you are making in the chat that 45 to survive might not be a thing this season. It might be 43 to get away, whatever rhymes with that. 42 to get through. I don't know, whatever the number's going to be. You do yourself no harm. Snail racing down the bottom. You win 1 game and draw 1 in a row, 4 points in 2. You move forward. You win 2 in a row. Brilliant. You win 3 in a row. Woof. And that's exactly what Hull have done and jumped up all the way to 19th place. Obviously, if you're a Hull fan, you want a nice steady point scoring. But in the interim, you'll take a quick 9 points in 3 games, for God's sakes. Won't you? Who wouldn't? Well played, Hull. Steve Morrison, that will be his first home game in full charge, having won his first full game up at Preston at the weekend. His team was Smithies in goal, McGuinness, Flint, Nelson, Giles, NG, Volks, Pack, Davies, Bakuna, and Kiefer Moore up top. Baxter in goal for Hull, Greaves, McLaughlin, Elder, Lewis Potter, and Longman, Smallwood, Doherty, Honeyman, Wilkes, and McGuinness. And I think it's a pretty early goal in this one. Yeah, 15 minutes. And if you told me the way that this was going to play out with a set play deciding the game, I wouldn't have had Hull scoring it, and I wouldn't have had Keane Lewis Potter scoring it. I'd have had Cardiff doing the business. But look at that. Lewis Potter, middle of the box from the flick on from Longman, or was it Longman's corner? I think Longman flicks it on. Is that him on the near post? Anyway, he got the assist, says SofaScore. And Lewis Potter, yeah, just knocks it in. You expect Keane Lewis Potter to score dribbles from the inside forward positions. But no, Fox in the box. Look at this from Collins right late in the game. Oh, keeper's not getting that. Heads it against the post. Look at that glaring, gaping hole. And he cannot stick the ball in it. And, hey, when you're on a 3-game winning streak, that's what happens. Fair dues, Hull. Is it viable in this game? Probably not. Look, 1 shot on target, 3 big chances faced, 14 shots faced. But they did the business, and I always say about stats don't recognise game state. And if Hull sat in after taking the lead and defended their lead, what else do they need to do? Cardiff didn't score. That's the scenario. Cardiff had to score, they didn't. And, Cardiff haven't necessarily been the most impressive in front of goal, have they? So Hull, just got to be contenders for our team of the week in just a jiffy, haven't they? Hull, 3 straight wins, the only team in the league to win the last 3 games, if my eyes are not deceiving me, looking at that table. Let's hope for Hull's sake that it's not 15 points. 9 points in 16 games over the next 16 games, that it can be a bit more steady, because they've obviously gone from abject relegation form to winning the title form over the last 3 games. You want something more in the middle if you're a Hull fan, but you will totally take 3 straight wins. And Cardiff, looked like a little climb out or a little trend up under Morrison was about to happen. You don't want to be losing home games to bottom 6 rivals. Do you indeed, Steve Morrison? Let's have a look. Oh, there you go. There are those Reading players out of contract. Eek, indeed. Lenny, Huddleston at the heart of the back three is a beautiful sight. Yeah, just have as little space behind him as possible, right? To be fair, when Huddleston was a central midfielder, he'd end up back in that position anyway a lot, wouldn't he? Honeyman return to fitness has been the catalyst. Upturning form. Imperative we hang on to Greaves and Lewis Potter in January. Yeah. If you're going to sell him at the end of the season, for God's sake. Honeyman, the key. Well played, Hull. Cardiff haven't scored a first half goal this season. Wow. That's dreadful. What has changed at Hull, Roland? No idea. Absolutely no idea. Hey, maybe Honeyman coming up. Aiden, Honeyman's return, giving us a big boost going forward. Defensively sound with Greaves. A Premier League player in the future. Kieran, the formation changed to 3-5-2. We perform much better in that system. Well done, Hull, from a Fulham fan. Absolutely. Exceptionally small number of teams in the relegation fight this season. Who knows? Who knows indeed. Right. Let me tell you, I'm going to stay on. I know I've already been on an hour and a quarter because we got to do Jokanovic, haven't we? So let's quickly do team of the week and goal of the round. And then we're going to talk about Jokanovic. Sorry, I'm just writing down the timestamp, which means I need to press a button, don't I? Right, okay, you lot, normal rules apply. Only vote for your team, the team you support, if you actually think they are the team of the round. If not, we would love to have a nice, credible idea of who you think the team of the round is. You could go for Derby. We'll go for a drawing team then, but Derby with the team of the week, the team of the round at the weekend. So bear that in mind if we want to share it out. You could go for QPR, 1-0 win over Huddersfield. Not sure, I don't know about that. You could go for Bristol City, beat Stoke, who are much further above them in the table, and Bristol City don't have a very good home record. Was it the most viable win? I don't know. Was it? You could go for Blackburn. Very impressive win for Blackburn, 1-4-0. But again, caveat ahoy, Peterborough are not very good away from home, aren't they? Could go for Swansea. That was an impressive performance, wasn't it? And all that possession. You could go for Preston, but was it a bit of a smash and grab? Could go for Sheffield United, but then they just sacked their manager. All roads lead to Hull, surely, don't they? You could go for Hull, who won their 3rd successive game. Honestly, for me, it seems like it's between Hull, Swansea, and Blackburn, really, for me. What say you? Team of the round. Who is your team of the round? Get your votes in. Let's have a look. Hull, 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 Hull. Blackburn, Hull, Derby, Hull. Hull or Blackburn, Hull, Hull, or Derby. Well, let's go for Hull. That seems to be pretty much in majority for Hull. Right, let's move this on and we'll go for goal of the round. Get your suggestions in for goal of the round. Off the top of my head, the Pickering header for Blackburn. Remember, there was a lot of 0-0 draws, was a fine goal. The Evans header for Preston. Bogle for Sheffield. Not a lot to write home about. Get me your goal of the round. Don't just pick the best goal by the team you support and try and argue it. Pick what you think was the best goal scored by any team in the Championship, although not a lot to write home about. Any votes for me? I think everyone's pleading the fifth on this one. Maybe put your votes in the comments after the fact if you're still watching 1 hour and 16 minutes into this marathon stream. Right, we're going to talk about Jokanovic. So I tell you what I'll do. Because I'm going to click this out, let me just do a couple of things. Start getting your comments in on Jokanovic. Can I spell that? Jokanovic leaves Blades. My reaction, because I need to just do a couple of things. So start getting your comments in on Jokanovic. We will stick. What should we stick across the bottom? We'll stick that one across the bottom. And what I will do as well, off screen, let's just get the Sheffield United website up so we can read any kind of statement, and we'll do a proper. We'll do a. Oh, goodness me. We'll do a proper clipped out reaction video here. So I think we're just about ready to go. Forgive me because I'm midstream. I'm just going to leave a couple of seconds and then I will come in properly. Okay. Okay, we are reacting to the news that Slavisa Jokanovic has departed Sheffield United, and we already know that he's been replaced by Paul Heckingbottom. Get your comments in on this. We are live at the moment. You can put your comments in after the fact. Jokanovic has only been in charge for 19 games. Sheffield United are 16th in the table. Remember, the background to this is that Sheffield United went on a crazy, ridiculous rise up the leagues under Chris Wilder, didn't they? Scored 100 points in League One, stabilised in the Championship, then brilliantly in 18-19, got promoted. Then, even probably more brilliantly or equally brilliantly, finished 9th in the Premier League. However, history and statistical observation tells us that in terms of economics and sport and population, all incredibly quick rises tend to be followed by crashes. They tend to be unsustainable. And if something is going to rise, it tends to be better to do it gradually. And unfortunately, Sheffield United's incredibly quick rise fell off a cliff, didn't it? For whatever reasons, we've been over that over and over again, inertia, whatever. I just said, you know, a big rise is always followed by a crash. Going into year 4 with the same players that had dragged them up. Whatever, bad spending in the Premier League, COVID, empty stadiums. We've heard a million theories. We're not here to talk about that today. But what that did mean is that Chris Wilder departed Sheffield United earlier this year. Can't remember quite when. Maybe March. Does that add up? Forgive me if I got that wrong, but I'm trying to pull that information out of my head. However, it was fairly acrimonious, and Wilder was the hometown hero and Blades fan that had got into the dugout and taken them up. Bit of a fallout with Prince Abdullah, we think. Wilder's been fairly quiet on this, hasn't he? And he's obviously piped up at Middlesbrough 2 games ago. Prince Abdullah was not very quiet about this, and he basically said he tried everything to keep Wilder there, and Wilder had tried to leave and all of this stuff and wanted a huge compensation payout, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't there. I don't know. But what I think it is fair to assume is that it wasn't it wasn't very friendly, I think, between Wilder and Prince Abdullah going back to that decision. And of course, I don't know how much of a wedge that drove, but it certainly didn't ingratiate Prince Abdullah, I think, with the Blades fans. They're obviously going to side with Wilder, who had such a good history. And even though they were having a terrible, terrible season and ultimately going to get relegated, fans will side with the hometown hero, rightly or wrongly, won't they? What then happened, and this name is going to be important, is that Paul Heckingbottom was put in temporary charge, wasn't he? Heckingbottom, who managed Barnsley and famously for only 15 or 16 games until Victor Orta realised he could get Bielsa at Leeds, managed Leeds, didn't he? He was on the staff at Sheffield United. I think he was the under-23s guy, and I think he was still doing that. And then, so he was caretaker manager at the end of last season. Now, at the start of this season, in comes Slavica Jokanovic, who famously was the fourth manager of the season in 2014-15 when Watford got promoted. So he has that promotion on his CV, but far more viably, Jokanovic had a really good promotion with Fulham on his CV, and Fulham were coming off the back, I think. Maybe they were 1 year, or were they still getting parachute payments when they went up? I can't quite remember, but it was a very good promotion. They went on a late run in 16-17, I think, missed out and went up in the playoffs. Am I right? Yes, in 17-18, beat Villa in the final. Really, really good side that Jokanovic fashioned, played nice, patient possession football. They did have Mitrovic on loan, and we all know what Mitrovic does in the Championship. He scores most games and just bullies the opposition, doesn't he? They did have Ryan Sessegnon as well, who was the Championship Player of the Year in 17-18, but a brilliantly fashioned midfield three with Kearney, Johansson and McDonald, blah, blah, blah. So in comes Jokanovic to Sheffield United at the start of this season. And for whatever reason, it just has not worked. And I'm sure we'll get lots of different viewpoints on this. And I think they're going to split into two camps here. One camp will say Jokanovic was terrible and it didn't work and he was the wrong guy for this club at this time. And I think the other side of the argument will be Jokanovic didn't get his players, didn't get any spend, didn't have enough time to employ his system, and maybe if they'd left him, it would have worked. I think those are the two views we're going to get. And I think there's probably an element of truth in both, isn't there? Far be it for me to go right down the middle and let you lot duke it out in the comments. But in terms of it not working and Jokanovic not doing very well, when you look at the quality of the squad, and often people argue, oh, Ben, they're aging and, the squad needs refreshing. Yes, I agree. But they're 16th in the league. And don't tell me that you can't fashion at least a top 10 team out of, say, Olsen, who's an international goalkeeper, Ben Davies, who starred for Preston, John Egan, promoted before Chris Basham. Obviously, I can say promoted for most of them. Reece Norrington-Davies starred for Stoke and Luton. Jayden Bogle starred for Derby. Baldock and Stevens, star wingbacks before for Wilder. Norwood has dominated in this division, been promoted loads and loads of times. So has Luke Freeman for QPR, maybe not for Sheffield Wednesday. Ben Osborne, good player for Forest. John Fleck's done well in this division. Conor Hourihan's been promoted a couple of times from this division. Morgan Gibbs-White. Sander Berger could probably be one of the best players in the division when fit. And then Brewster and McBurney have done really well for Swansea in this division. Billy Sharp always scores goals. You take my point that for those making the argument that he did a very bad job with his resources, that's a fairly reasonable argument. I like Jokanovic a lot, by the way, and we will never know in whatever parallel universe how well he would have done if he'd done one whole season or two whole seasons or maybe even three. The duration of the parachute payment, which is kind of how we judge managers of relegated teams. How do they do? Can you ring fence and make a business plan and strategy whilst you've got that extra money that seems to exert some dominance. And Tracy Crouch, in her fan-led review, agrees with what most of what we've been saying on this channel for the last 4 years, which is kind of nice affirmation. Now, the other argument is that what did Sheffield United do in the transfer window in terms of giving Jokanovic's players? Well, they lost Ramsdale, which was obviously going to happen. They kept Berger. I honestly thought Berger would have been gone, but who did they bring in? Conor Hourihane on loan. Morgan Gibbs-White, he's very good on loan. Adelin Guediora, he's aging. Ben Davies, he's good on loan. But Ilman and Dye got a new contract, didn't he? But in terms of did Jokanovic get either funds or time to implement his strategy, which we've seen is like a 4-3-3 with inside forwards and rotation in midfield? Did he get time or money to do that? No, he didn't. So, I mean, that's fact, isn't it? He got a few loan players, but otherwise, I mean, obviously Fulham went for it big style, but when you look at Wilson and Muniz and Chalobah and whoever else has gone in at Fulham this summer, they brought in players to play in the first team and get things moving in the Championship. Maybe it's not a fair comparison. Maybe it is. They're both year one parachute teams, aren't they? So, you know. So I'm not entirely sure where I fall on this. I like Jokanovic. I can't argue that he didn't do a good job with his resources. I do think he didn't get a lot of time and he didn't get his players, but hey, maybe it was never going to work. We'll never know. He's gone. So I'd be very, very interested to know your guys' thoughts. And I do accept the argument, however flimsy it comes across. Sometimes some people just don't fit at a certain club. They just don't. And maybe it's a big job at Sheffield United to follow Wilder and that extreme rise followed by the one season quick fall down. I don't know. Anyway, what I do know is if I head over to the Sheffield United website, that we know, contrary to any rumours this morning about Neil Warnock or Daniel Farker or whoever, that Paul Heckingbottom is going to be the new manager. What you think of that in respects of a comparison to Jokanovic, I don't know. Let's read from this statement. Sheffield United and Jokanovic have parted company, with Paul Heckingbottom installed as the club's football manager. Now, what is very, very clear is that Heckingbottom is Prince Abdullah's guy, isn't he? Because when Wilder went, Heckingbottom in as caretaker, he's kept at the club, and now he's tried Jokanovic, and here we go. Heckingbottom is his new guy. And I'm sure they're going to tell us all about Heckingbottom's. Oh, God, that's sticking the boot in a little bit. Yorkshireman Heckingbottom, sorry, I'm just going to read from the second paragraph. Takes charge of the club's football business immediately, agreeing a contract through to the end of the 2025-26 season. How long is that? 21. So we're 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, 24. It's like a 4.5 year contract, isn't it? Crikey, dearie me, that's long, isn't it? I wonder what get outs and what salary he's on there. Goodness me. Following several months of strategic planning and a lackluster start to the season, ouch, the board decided that a change was in the best long-term interest of the club. Heckingbottom, we've mentioned, was caretaker manager last season. Previously managed Barnsley, Leeds and Hibs. I didn't mention Hibs. I suppose his finest hour was Barnsley, I guess. He built up that team that had Hourihane in, actually, at Barnsley. Who else did they sell? James Bree. They sold all their best players, didn't they, in the mid-season? But there we go. Chairman Yousaf, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce his second name. We look forward to embarking on a new era in Blades football with Paul at the helm. Paul possesses the personal leadership qualities and technical football skills the board feels are essential to successfully implement the board's strategic directives. He shares our values. It's very diggy at Jokanovic. Apparently he didn't, because he'd still be there if he did. An interest in player development, whilst also possessing the ambition and determination to get the most out of our current squad. This is very damning with faint praise, isn't it? We're convinced that Paul will play a leading role in improving all aspects of football operations. So there you go. Am I bowled over by Paul Heckingbottom at Sheffield United? No, honestly, I'm not. Oh, he could turn out to be a brilliant manager. And God, a contract to 2026. Tell me in the comments the percentage chance of him still being the manager at the end of the 25-26 season. I suspect low odds of that one, but I don't know. I suppose they'd argue they tried the big name with the promotions on his CV, and Heckingbottom's been around at the club, but it does really feel like he is Prince Abdullah's guy, and he's given his guy the top job. Is that always the best idea? I don't know. I don't know what the relationship is there, and how or what methods he's used in terms of gentle persuasion, if he's got Prince Abdullah's ear, to parlay his way into that job. I'm not asserting anything nefarious, but I don't know how he's done it, because you would think a year one parachute job at a big club like Sheffield United, they'd have people knocking down the door to come and take that job outside of a Premier League job. A year one parachute job is the best one, I think, in English football. So there we go. I'll go to your comments now, because we are live and you can comment after the fact, of course. And I'll just say, Jokanovic, I'm halfway between acknowledging that he didn't do a very good job at all, and they didn't look like they were going anywhere fast, but also he didn't get his players and he didn't get a lot of time. I don't know, because I haven't got a crystal ball, whether that would have written itself out, sorted itself out in the future. But I think my overriding thing is I do like Jokanovic from what he did at Fulham. So I suppose I'm slightly more towards he didn't get time or he didn't get any of his players. But that's not to rule out the other. He could have just been the wrong guy at the wrong time. And Heckingbottom does feel a little bit like a guy who was already there, who's already been there, who's literally already been the manager. Why not? If he was the right guy, if he's the right guy now, why not just keep him through from last season? Why even bother bringing Jokanovic in? That feels like a waste of 16 games. I know, easy with 2020 hindsight. Let's have a look at some comments then. Good. What are we going to say here? I'm scrolling up here. Justin, Jokanovic was under the impression a bigger overhaul of the squad was needed. However, the board disagreed. That's a joke. Slav is right. Our board are a joke. We are going down. Well, there you go. Justin's made his feelings clear there. Jokanovic must have been a dead man walking already before they get... Yeah, apparently so. When you read their statement. Steve, seems the board and manager was singing from different hymn sheets. Very much so, doesn't it? Heckingbottom to 2026. Goodness me. Ollie, hi Ben, I've blown hot and cold on Jokanovic this season, as most players have, but I think it's the wrong call. He needed time to build a squad to play his way. Lots of Fulham Watford fans saying this too. Stuart McCall to be his assistant. I do like Stuart McCall, thought he was a good player. Roland never seemed happy when interviewed, or is that just his natural demeanour? I think it's a little bit of both. He does have that deep voice and kind of delivery, doesn't he? But yeah, obviously he wasn't a happy place, wasn't it? Jake, it was obvious signings were badly needed. Thought it looked positive when they got Slav in early on, but it was just a big name to paper over the cracks. Heckingbottom probably the best they'll attract now. I agree with most of that, Jake, but I think a lot of managers, unless Prince Abdullah's got a very bad reputation amongst football people that we don't know, I think a lot of managers would have liked to have gone and done that job. Lenny, 4.5 deal seems bizarre. Seems long, doesn't it? I wonder if there's get outs, isn't it? 1889 Blade, no issue of Heckingbottom coming in. The issue is the length of the deal. Should have been till the end of the season. Does seem excessively long. Seems a long contract given Heckingbottom's relatively modest CV. Didn't Jokanovic come in before pre-season? Yeah, I think he was there for the pre-season. It took him a while to get the deal done, though. I don't know the exact date. Wayne, Jokanovic should have been given time like he was given at Fulham. Steve, going through the list of players, it's shocking that they are sitting in 16th. El Dorito, a year he got us promoted. I think we were 12th at this stage. Very, very true. I mean, that was a hell of a run at the end of the season. But the point El Dorito is making stands up that given time at Fulham, it worked. can only think Heckingbottom on a small wage. Well, for that length contract, unless there is get-outs, etc. Yes, man appointment. Not my words, El Dorito's words, but I don't know whether I am alluding to that or not. I don't know. I'm not there. Man United, Ole vibes. Changed to a 3-4-3 over the last 2 games. Had us looking a lot better at the back. Things were moving in the right direction. Really frustrating. Plucky Jokanovic had to go wrong fit for Sheffield United. He's not a bad manager. Going nowhere with him. Grumpy Heckingbottom won't have to worry about sack either. He'll just goes back to the under-23s. Brilliant move on his part. There you go. So look, guys, thank you so much for joining me. So it's been a really long stream today. Get your thoughts in. That last segment I'll clip out on Sheffield United and Jokanovic. Please hit the subscribe button. We will, amazingly, having done 1 hour and 36 minutes now, be back at 7 p.m. for the preview stream. But so much to cover with another managerial departure. Thank you, everybody, for watching. See you tonight at 7. And I'll go and get my breath back and check that I haven't lost my voice ahead of tonight. Thank you all for watching. Over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.